All right, let's talk about a big shift in how we need to think about leadership, especially in today's complex, tech-driven world. It's so easy to get caught up in chasing the next big tool, right? But what if your real job isn't just to follow the recipe, but to actually design the entire kitchen?
So, just for a moment, let's try on this idea. If your department, your whole organization is a kitchen, what does that make you? Let's see where this little thought experiment takes us.
To really get a handle on our new role, we first have to understand the kitchen we're all working in. Because, well, the kitchen itself has changed, fundamentally.
You know, it wasn't that long ago that our organizations were basically our own little self-contained kitchens. We had our own stoves, our own family recipes, we knew our local suppliers. But today, the world is more like one giant interconnected kitchen, and it's dominated by a few big chefs, the huge tech platforms. They own the best appliances, these incredible all-in-one systems that, frankly, we all need to use now. There's actually a name for this new reality: Technofeudalism. All it really means is that to get our jobs done, we have to use the tools that these big players provide. And here's the crucial part: these tools don't just shape how we do our work anymore, they're starting to dictate what work we can even do in the first place. So, if we're all working in this new kind of kitchen, what on earth does that mean for you as a leader? Well, it means your role has to change. It's a total shift in perspective. For the longest time, a manager was basically a cook. Your job was to take the tools and recipes you were given and produce a great meal. But in this new world, that's just not enough. You have to evolve from being the cook to being the architect. You're not just following the recipe anymore. You're designing the entire kitchen, the layout, the workflow, everything, to make sure it can adapt when the next great appliance comes along.
So what does it mean to be a kitchen architect? It means you shift your focus from the meal of the day to the system that produces all the meals. You design the structure, you clarify the processes, you define the roles, so that your team can be flexible and resilient no matter whose technology is hot this year.
Okay, this architect idea sounds good in theory, but what does that blueprint actually look like? How do you really design a kitchen that's built to last in this new world?
Let's break it down. The metaphor maps pretty cleanly to what we do every day. That new AI system everyone's talking about, that's just an appliance, a fancy Thermomix. Your data, your information, those are your ingredients. A process or a service chain, that's your recipe. But the most important part, the part you, the architect, design, is the kitchen layout. That's your org structure, your roles, your governance.
And this brings us to what is maybe the most important point of all. We're all so tempted to buy the newest, shiniest appliance on the market. But that amazing tool is completely useless if our recipes are a mess, our ingredients are disorganized, and our cooks don't know how to work together. The real lasting value comes from the structure, not just the tool.
When you design your kitchen this thoughtfully, you gain something incredibly valuable: migration power. Think of it as the ability to swap out your old microwave for a new air fryer without having to tear down the walls and rewire the whole kitchen. It's the freedom to change your tools without losing who you are. It's your ultimate defense against being locked into any one vendor.
Now, to pull this off, you need a special skill: ambidexterity. And the kitchen metaphor is perfect here. It's about remodeling the kitchen while you're still serving meals. You have to keep today's service running smoothly, that's the exploit part, while at the same time, you're designing and building a better kitchen for tomorrow, that's the explore part. It is the essential balancing act for any leader today.
So when you put all these pieces together, the architect mindset, migration power, ambidexterity, it leads us to completely rethink a popular, but honestly a pretty misunderstood idea: digital sovereignty.
Let's just be really direct about this. For most of our organizations, the idea that we can be completely independent from the big tech platforms, well, that's just not realistic anymore. We can't all build our own cloud or our own AI from the ground up. That particular dream is over. So what does freedom, what does sovereignty actually mean now? Here's the shift. True sovereignty is no longer about freedom from the big platforms. It's about having freedom through your own internal structure. It's about designing your organization so well that you hold the power to choose which tools you plug in and when.
And that brings us to a new, and I think much more powerful, definition of digital sovereignty. It's not some technical state of being totally isolated. It's a strategic ability. It's the power to choose and to change your technology because your own house, your own kitchen is in order.
In other words, real sovereignty is migration power.
So as you step back and take a look at your own kitchen, what are the kinds of questions you should be asking yourself as its architect?
Here are 3 questions just to get you started. First, think about your ingredients. Is our data, our core information, structured in a way that we could use it with different tools if we had to? Second, think about your cooks. Are our people and our processes ready to adapt to new ways of working? And finally, think about the service itself. Could we keep things running smoothly for our customers if we had to switch out a major piece of technology?
At the end of the day, it really all comes down to this. True sovereignty, true freedom, isn't built on the fancy appliances you buy. It's built on the foundations of a well-designed kitchen, clarity in your processes, capability in your people, and real strength in your organizational structure. That is the architect's work.